Welcome back to Good Day Columbia. 7:44 on a Wednesday, and Wednesday means Tech Talk. So today's Wednesday, right? It is a Wednesday. It's Tech Talk anyway. We're talking about, when you talk about technology, things are getting smaller, easier. You've got iPhones with great things. You've got Zooms to do anything in the world, and even making it easier to accept money. Our Tech Talk, our technical correspondent expert, Steve Miano. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, new ways to accept money, making it easier and easier for us to fork over our credit card.
Yes, yes. Easier and easier ways to separate you from your hard-earned cash. You know, we've been talking over the past couple of weeks about different ways to get creative with your money, how to access your money more easily, things like that. Well, with smartphones and apps for everything from Angry Birds to, well, credit card processing,
right.
You can now accept credit cards on your phone. And this is revolutionary because for a lot of street vendors, taco vendors, hot dog vendors, guys at trade shows, flea markets, things like that, it used to be you would take cash. You couldn't really trust a check, and you couldn't take a credit card unless you spent thousands of dollars for super, super expensive proprietary hardware. Well, as the shift in focus for fraud has gone away from the merchant to now people stealing information, man in the middle is what the attack is called in the security industry. The requirements for being able to accept credit cards have gotten a lot easier. SquareUp is one. Intuit, the people that do QuickBooks, they have an app, Go Payments or something to that effect. Basically, it's a little adapter that plugs into your phone, usually into the headphone jack of your phone, that takes the credit card just like you would swipe it at a...
So it's the regular swipe.
Yeah, okay. And I actually brought mine, and I'll show that in a second. But you swipe it, it encrypts all of the information just like it would with a traditional point-of-sale system. It sends it over the cell phone network, and here's mine. You see this little guy right here, and it's tiny.
Yeah, it's like a little jack, a little adapter.
You
sure.
Just swipe your card.
But how secure is something like that? I mean, you're over a phone network. I mean, it is this little thing.
Yep.
It goes through your phone. How secure is that in the age of smartphones they're getting broken into that are susceptible to viruses?
That
and
is
such?
a big problem. Yeah, we are starting to see malware on smartphones emerging, and it's becoming more and more aggressive. Fortunately, because we're dealing with money, the companies that are designing these apps, they've spent a lot of time and effort to encrypt those transactions. None of that information is stored on your phone. Janet asked a really great question, how do I know I'm paying for what I'm paying for? These apps are designed to capture the card, send it to the processor, and then it's deleted off the phone. It doesn't stay on the phone for more than a second or two.
What about a verification, a receipt? If I buy a hot dog,
yep,
and I need a receipt because it's a work expense or whatever, I buy a
totally. And actually, that's a really good question. And I'll use Casey's. You mentioned hot dogs on Washington Street. My favorite hot dog vendor. He uses Square on an iPhone.
Okay.
You sign your name on the screen, and it emails you a receipt of what you got. It gives you a JPEG of your signature. And what's really cool is you can configure Square to not only tell you what you bought, how much you paid, you signed for it. It'll even give you GPS coordinates of where the transaction took place.
Really?
Which is really, really cool. Yeah, and the vendors, the merchants, the people accepting the transactions, they can't get approved until they link it to a bank account. So there's some pretty good verification that goes into place before they can actually take your money.
Now, from a vendor or merchant standpoint, this tool, of course, they worry about things like fees, and they worry about disputed transactions and things. So I guess all the GPS location, the signature required, is going to cut down on those disputes. As a vendor, and if you don't know as a vendor, of course, if you may have ring up a sale, and if the cardholder says, "I didn't do that," they lock those funds up. The credit card processing bank will lock those funds. Yeah. And it's incumbent upon you to say, no, it's a real.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason that the little actual swipey thing is so important, because that means you have to physically swipe the card. The card has to physically be present. Someone has to sign for it. I mean, there are always, with credit card transactions, there's liability issues. But what the people who are running these accounts are seeing is they're about on par with what happens at a physical location with a big point of sale at a retail store, an online order, things like that. The fees, and you asked about the fees are generally higher per transaction than would be at a brick and mortar with a traditional processor like Heartland or Tiger Trans, something like that. but they don't charge monthly transactions and they don't have contracts. A lot of these brick and mortar vendors charge a monthly fee for your statement, and they charge you a contract.
Sure.
You're locked in for a year. With this, I mean, I signed up for it. It took me 5 minutes, linked it to my bank account. I've used it a few times, but if I don't use it for 6 months, 8 months, or anything like that, I'm not out of pocket. I don't.
Real quick, what does it cost for that item if I wanted to get one tomorrow?
Free.
So I can sign up for free, get it linked up for free, and I am processing credit cards.
Yep, you go to squareup.com, create your account. They'll mail you the little dealy bob, and
that's a technical term,
it's
right, Steve Miano?
That's what that is.
The dealy bob.
So you give them your account information, sign up, and a week later you're accepting cards.
Fantastic. Of course, we'll put all that for you up at midlandsconnect.com as well, so you can read about Square Up and the dealy bob.
The dealy bob,
there
yes.
You go. As always, my friend, thank you so much.
Thank
that
you.
computer store, you are quite the expert for us every Wednesday morning.
Great, thank you.
We do appreciate it. Please stay with us when Good Day Columbia comes right back. Henry Rothenberg has got your full forecast, and we're talking about getting all dressed up for animals. Yeah, Good Day Columbia is going to be back in just a couple.